Over the course of my life, I have learned a lot of lessons, or should I say a multitude, and none of them was as difficult as one of these few. But I'm talking about one of them today, and it was one I'm still coming to grips with, allowing God to take the steering wheel. My name is Leon Meredith, and this is the Foundation for Elevation Station. When you think of reforming the way our communities run, the love that's contained within our communities, we're not going to eliminate poisonous behavior. And one poisonous behavior is one that I, in my former self, practiced, and that is pertaining to vengeance. I could never own vengeance, but in my mind, I thought that I could for many years. See, many years I was like, it was a movie with Will Smith, and in this movie, Will Smith was part of a team. He was shooting. He was a sharpshooter, and he was a team of not vigilantes. Maybe they were Suicide Squad. It was a Suicide Squad enlisted from the government. Some of them was jail inmates in prison for life, and they was enlisted in a certain program to go out and vanquish evil. And Will Smith was a star in this movie, and it was a guy he was me. This guy was able to produce fire, literally, and he could just burn and smother any type of action that came towards him. And I felt the same way about my life many a years. I knew that my energy was able to be turned up to such a dial that was quite frightening for most people to view. Just the straight terror that my energy was able to produce scared, the majority of people. And physically, I was able to do things also. And now today, I am at a high degree of peace. And at this point, I fully understand that the Lord owns vengeance. And I was foolish to think otherwise. I love you and I thank you for tuning in, because especially in my Black and African American communities in America, we have a lot of fire fighting fire, and there is no way we could continue to fight fire with fire. We got to use water. This is the only way to defuse the situation. Some people refer to love, but me, I refer to using our wit, using our creativeness, using our tone of voice to coerce the fire. Jet Li had a movie. It was called Twin Warriors. I use a lot of movie analogies because the truth is right there in a lot of instances. And in this movie, it was Twin Warriors, where him and his, longtime friend, they was like brothers. and they was growing up in this kung fu community, and they weren't supposed to be training how to do it, but they learned anyway, sweeping the floors, and they start mimicking the guy, the fighters, and they got to be around 15, 16 and found out they get into little battles and they was greater than the ones who've been training for years at this craft. So they end up got exposed and they got kicked out. Now, while they was getting kicked out, one of the old masters loved one of them and gave him a scroll, and gave Jet Li the scroll. And when they was fighting and they got away, and they was so dominant, when they went out to the community, the warriors, the whole land started to recognize their abilities. And one of the brothers turned to evil, and Jet Li, he went crazy. And hair was scraggly. Half the movie he was scraggly until he was head down, drunken, and he read the scroll. And just so happens the scroll revealed the knowledge to him. And he realized that the flow of water was the answer, because he had ended up fighting the brother when he was in evil and lost. And he learned that the flow of water, the chi, blah, 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 I forget the exact terms. And he changed his whole fighting style. And this is what I believe that black men of the community must do. We got to change our talking points when we picking up the black young men that need us oh so much for mentorship. They need us so much. I'm talking about the ones with the choppers in their car. The ones that got the 30 round clips right now. Some of our best and greatest young men right now. You know, a lot of people don't want to give these young men the credit they do. You know, I'm talking about a lot of Pookies and Ray Rays, because a lot of Pookies and Ray Rays got all that courage. Like, I don't like people trying to down talk Pookies and Ray Rays, because some of these men are some of our greatest fearless warriors out here in the streets. They may be, you know, using women in inappropriate ways. They may not be the father of the year, but these men have certain qualities that make them a higher level of just a regular guy. And I'm talking about not just a guy that's not too successful in the streets. I mean the guys that are flipping. They making stacks of money. They don't worry about getting a job or opening a business, or, you know, it might be some small business just to make it look good. These are the men that we need to get in front of and use the chi, use the water to help them, and we help each other to combine and plan a course for them and us, because these young men have built up such a skill set, such equity in our community. When the money transfers and multiplying in our community, this is equity being built up for this country and our community. And these men are valuable in many ways, and we must do better to relay that message and work with these brothers, because these brothers are valuable. When you want to make a great picture, you got to work with the negatives. We can't leave anyone behind, especially people with great skill sets that, quite frankly, is probably more honest than a lot of these other people, businessmen, political people, religious people. Like, people, when you actually throw it on the scale, because I have rotated in all of these areas, and I'm telling you that people are wrong to say and just look down on the street element of our community as the low lives spiritually of our community. I beg to differ. You could say the consequences and blowback from them delivering drugs to our community, but I believe miseducation is crucial. It's very crucial. I believe the silence is worse than violence. Straight up. I just see things from a different angle. And I'm not saying that no one is innocent here, but the majority of us view the street element as the lowest on the totem pole. And I just would beg to differ. I'm a person that don't have dislike for anyone, but I'm gonna treat you accordingly, especially if you look at me a certain way. We gotta work together. We must never ever fight fire with fire. If we plan to forge a path that turns into a bridge that we can walk over and the new kingdom is there. This is the course. This is the plan. This is the journey we must take. I'm gonna leave it here because I feel as though I made my point. It's no way in this world fire can be used to take on fire nowadays. I assume that in a forest fire, that may be the only way they use. They burn off a certain area so it can't keep burning once it reached a certain area. That's the only feasible thought. But some people believe a lot of those forest fires are not so much of a happenstance. I want to say I love you and I thank you so much for viewing this posting. I'll see you soon and I love you so much. Peace.